Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dot from Dot Me Now Coaching and Entertainment. For coaching, my links are down below. In today's video, we are going to be talking about inner cosmology and outer cosmology and how our solar system is literally within inside of ourselves and how the planets and the sun and the moon really operate and stuff like that. We're gonna get into like some more deeper understandings, not just the stuff you read in astrology books, because even though like I've read a little bit of astrology books and stuff like that, I learned astrology by just connecting with the planetary energies themselves. And then recently I've been going to Egypt, and they were teaching me a lot about like how reality is structured and also how to properly use astrology and also understand cosmology. And yeah, it also starts dealing with like the firmament and things like that. But I'm not gonna speak too much on the firmament right now because I'm still getting a lot of understandings about that. But one thing I'm going to do is read off an Instagram post that I made and then explain what these things mean on a deeper level. So I said my inner and outer world are beginning to blend seamlessly. The cosmology of the outer world is reflective of our inner world. If you understand the cosmos, you will understand yourself, and vice versa. The sun and moon regulate our and Earth's electromagnetic field, while the planets are transductors of solar life force energy, which help regulate the physical and spiritual life forces in humans and on Earth. Knowing this alone would open many doors. Now here's what that really means, right? So when I say that the sun and moon regulate our Earth's, well, it regulates our electromagnetic field and the Earth's electromagnetic field, right? So the reason why is because when it comes to the sun and the moon, these were perfectly made, right? The sun is like the electric field, and then the moon's like the magnetic field, and then those come together and make the electromagnetic field, right? And because of that electromagnetic field and stuff like that, it's like Earth itself kind of has its own field, but it's like the moon and the sun help to kind of stabilize it and constantly feed it and things of that nature, right? Now, with that being said, I said while the planets are transductors of solar life force energy. So here's what that means, right? You know how the sun is electric and the moon is magnetic? So imagine that you have the sun, right? Electric. And then at the bottom you have the moon, that's magnetic. And then in the center you have planets, which are electromagnetic. Now, out of all the planets, imagine that Earth is in the center and that all the planets are around the Earth, while the sun is up here with that electric stuff and the moon is down here with that magnetic stuff. I'm not saying that's literally like on that up down middle stuff, but what I'm saying is this is a good way to see it, because with the planets, what the planets do, right? See, Earth is the center, and Earth receives the energy of all the planets, the sun and the moon, all that, right? And when it comes to the planets, what they do is the sun is kind of blasting off energy, which the planets hold on to and then reflect back to Earth, right? So the planets are like different aspects, literally, of the sun, but they're also mixed with aspects of the moon, because the magnetism for the planet comes from the moon, and the electricity for the planet comes from the sun. You see? So the sun and moon mix together to make Earth and all the other planets. And Earth is like the center spot that has the even balance. And then all the other planets are like transductors that take in solar energy and distribute it back to Earth to activate those different aspects of like Earth and also of humans. That's why when the planets are in certain motions inside certain signs, they actually affect us. Like when it comes to zodiac signs are different aspects of ourselves, which are a combination of different planetary energies. And then the houses are different aspects of our physical lives. So the zodiac signs are more inner personality, the houses are more outer external world. And they're different areas of our lives where once again different planetary energies mix together and stuff like that. So I'll talk more about zodiac signs and houses in like a whole separate video about astrological cosmology and how this really works on a way deeper level than what we get taught. But for right now, I'm stick on planets. So when it comes to the planets, right? The sun rules over your expression. The moon is your inner world. This is already taught in astrology and even beyond astrology. This is how people always kind of saw the sun and the moon. The moon was always like the more inner world, the more emotional world and stuff like that. It was more like hidden, while the sun was more like expressive. It's giving life, things like that, right? Now, understand that when it comes to the planets, the Egyptians were telling me that seven main planets are considered, which are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Pluto is not a transductor in the same way that the other planets are, and that's because Pluto is more like a gateway that you kind of access. And I'll talk more about that later. But let's focus on the main stuff right now. So you have the sun, moon, and then you have Earth in the middle, and Earth is affected mainly by, well, Pluto affects Earth also, but how can I put this? Because the planets are different energies which exist inside of you and on Earth. And then the signs are how those energies are expressed within inside yourself, and then the houses are how the energies are expressed in your external world. But I'm saying that because there's three planets that are more about um your physical nature, and there's three planets that are more about your spiritual nature. And then there's one planet that connects those, and then there's one planet which is Pluto that kind of goes beyond that a bit. And this is why I mentioned the seven main planets before even talking about Pluto, because Pluto really is different. So with Mercury, Venus, and Mars, right? These are literally your beliefs, your values, and your actions. Your thought it's literally like thoughts, emotions, actions. I know that the moon deals with emotions, but this is, you see, it's like the moon is kind of linked with these planets because this is like more like your inner self, right? And then the other planets are your spiritual nature, which you eventually express in the external world. They're more like solar based, right? So inside your inner world, you have your thoughts and your beliefs. You have your values with like your thoughts and your beliefs. That's Mercury. You have your values with Venus, and then you have the actions that you do with Mars. And it's crazy because even with life coaching, these are the three areas that we target heavy. You know what I'm saying? Your thoughts and beliefs, right? We target your values and we target your goals, your actions and stuff like that, right? Now, Jupiter is when you begin to expand into your higher spiritual nature so that way you could express these inner parts of yourself better inside the external world. On top of that, these planets also help to balance out the other planets. So Jupiter helps you to expand and connect you to the higher stuff, right? That's when you eventually get Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So Saturn actually goes perfectly with Mercury, right? Saturn helps you to actually structure your mind, structure your thoughts, structure your beliefs, right? Uranus helps you with Venus, your values. It helps you to constantly reform your values, mainly because this helps you not to get emotionally attached to things. You kind of understand the ever changing nature of life, which means that your values will also constantly change. A lot of people get stuck in their values. They value something for too long, but the world around them is changing, and they need to value new things to adapt and stuff like that. So that's why Uranus, the planet of reformation, goes perfectly with Venus because it helps you to reform your values constantly, so you could properly adapt yourself to the external world and express yourself inside the external world. You see what I'm trying to say? Because even when it comes to your thoughts, right? Like think about it like this, right? This is why the moon planets are Mercury, Venus, and Mars, while the sun planets are Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn. When it comes to your inner world, you can freely think whatever you want. But if you share all your thoughts in the external world and stuff like that, it may get bad. That's why like Gemini's, right? Because Gemini's actually like this is why zodiac signs and houses are important because they actually mix the different energies. Because someone may be like, well, Mercury's all about communication, so how is it that it's only the internal shit? Well, you could also express your mind, my nigga. You feel me? But I'll get to that shit later. Because this is where like act because this is where also like the elements and the gender and the planet which rules over the sign all tell you what energies are being mixed inside a certain zodiac sign. So if a sign is more feminine, right, that means it's a moon based sign. But if it's like a fire, if it's like a fire elemental, that means that it's like what's it called? It has that solar energy inside of it. You feel me? So you could have a feminine zodiac sign. Well, actually, is there a feminine or I don't know. I was gonna say, are there any like feminine fire signs? I don't really give a fuck. You feel me? I could think about it right now, but I don't think there is. I'm pretty sure Sagittarius is masculine. I know that Aries is masculine, Leo's masculine. I'm sure Sagittarius is also. But you get my point though. Let's say that there was, right? Like you would see that, oh, Sagittarius, right? That John's feminine. I'm gonna get back to the planets real quick. I'm just trying to clear some things up because one may be confused about why the first three are lunar and the last three are solar. Because one may think that, well, if Uranus is about like reforming and stuff like that, like wouldn't you like also like reform your inner world? Yes, you definitely can. You feel me? But we're talking about different things right now. That gets more into zodiac signs, which actually mix together energies. Initially, though, right, with Mercury, you can't always share all your thoughts in the world. You can freely think inside yourself, but if you start talking too much inside the fucking world, it gets bad. That's why you need Saturn to structure your thoughts and your identity and your beliefs and stuff like that. You feel me? When it comes to Venus, you may value something deep down inside, right? Like you may value a certain person, for example, right? But if that person doesn't value you back and stuff like that, you need to be able to actually reform your values and actually stop participating inside that thing. You may have valued partaking in certain activities and certain habits, but now they're damaging you. You got to reform that. You feel me? And then when it comes to your actions, right? When it comes to your actions, this is balanced with Neptune because Neptune deals with your spiritual nature in this sense, right? It could also deal with your like unconscious mind, and it could deal with your beliefs and stuff like that. But in this sense, it's more about your spiritual nature, right? And this is happening because you can't always act in the physical world. Sometimes you need to be able to act in the spiritual planes too. So Neptune helps you to not get caught up only acting inside the physical world, and it makes you take action on the more spiritual sides of yourself, which will deal with your unconscious mind and your beliefs, but also going way beyond that too. You see what I'm trying to say? So that's how that works. That's how the planets work. Now, there's and it's important to understand this because regardless of what's happening around you, you can always meditate and draw upon certain planets and balance out certain energies inside yourself whenever you need to by just knowing these principles because you could always call upon the energy of the planets. And the way that you accurately do this by also looking at external astrology would be like, okay, let's say that let's say that Mars is affecting us heavily. There's so much Mars energy, right? Okay, bet I'm gonna call upon Neptune right now if I ever get unbalanced. You feel me? Cool. If Neptune's very, very heavy around right now, you feel me? It's like, okay, let me activate some of that motherfucking Mars real quick. You feel me? Now, it's important, like you could also use Saturn to balance out Neptune too. But the reason why it's like the reason why it's Mars inside this sense is because it's talking about where you're putting your action, like your active focus, right? Because even though Mars is like your physical actions, before you physically act off, so you need to like put your focus directly there. And if Neptune's around, you may not be super focused on acting in the physical world, you see? So that's why Mars will help you balance that. With Saturn, it kind of helps you to like restrict your unconscious mind, but doesn't really change your focus. It's just going to restrict certain energies, but it's not going to change your focus to the physical world. You see what I'm trying to say? So that's why when you understand these principles, you could actually use the energies to balance out to balance themselves out. And I'll talk about zodiac signs and houses more in depth in a later video. But like I'll bring up one zodiac sign right now. So we have let's not do Cancer because that's a pretty pure sign. Pure in the sense that like it's ruled by the moon and it's a water sign. You feel me? And it's feminine. You know what I'm saying? So it's straight moon. You know. Um, let's do Scorpio. Right. Scorpio used. I got to talk about Pluto also. Scorpio though, right? And when it comes to the signs, you have to use traditional astrology. Like you're not like right now they say that Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, but that's only Scorpio energy when it's applied to the eighth house. Scorpio as a sign in general is supposed to be ruled by Mars. You feel me? Now Scorpio is I think a feminine sign, right? And it's a water sign, but it has Mars energy. You feel me? So this is Mars, but applied to your emotions. You see? And let me look real quick. Let me make sure. Is Scorpio a feminine sign? I know I'm not tweaking on that. Yeah, it is. You feel me? All right, now let's do one more. Let's do Capricorn. Capricorn is a feminine sign, right? But is ruled by Saturn. You feel me? This is important because Saturn is inside the solar end of things, right? It deals with how you structure your mind in order to express yourself inside the external world, right? It's more about your outward expression inside the world. You feel me? Which is why I forgot that Capricorn was actually a feminine sign, to be honest. But yeah, but now with Capricorn, right? Capricorn, they're usually seen as go getters, yet they're a feminine sign. Why is that? Because they have that Saturn energy. You see, they're a feminine sign, but they're go getters, and their element is Earth. You feel me? So they're more like stable. So when it comes to the elements, fire is pure sun or like pure yang. You feel me? Air is mostly yang with yin. You feel me? Water is yin is mainly yin with yang, and then earth is pure yin. You feel me? So Capricorn is a pure feminine sign. You feel me? It's a pure feminine zodiac sign, right? Because it's already feminine, like it's already labeled as feminine, but also it's an earth sign, so it's pure yin. But yet it has that Saturn energy, which is geared towards the outside world more. You feel me? How you structure yourself for the outside world, how you structure your mind for the outside. That's why they're go getters, right? Now, this is kind of fun. Let me do another one. Aquarius, right? Now, Aquarius in traditional astrology was actually ruled by Saturn. You feel me? Now, Aquarius is a masculine sign. So it has active solar energy and it's also ruled by air. You feel me? Air pertains to the mind, right? Mercury, and but yet is ruled by Saturn. Now this is actually perfect because when it comes to how Saturn bounces out Mercury, it does that perfectly inside of Aquarius because Aquarius is an air sign, right? That has that mental capability that Mercury has. But it used to be ruled by Saturn. What did I say before? Saturn bounces out Mercury. You see? So Aquarius kind of has those energies. Now understand that Mercury is more of a feminine thing, right? But because it's a lunar planet, right? But Aquarius being ruled by Saturn, which is inside the solar side, has to be kind of air-like. And I'm saying that because air, like I said, is yang, like it's active, but it's mixed with some yin. Fire is pure yang, but Aquarius is yang mixed with some yin. You feel me? So it got that Mercury, right? You feel me? It got that yin, but it got that yang with the Saturn shit. You feel me? Then even with Uranus, right? Uranus is also inside the solar and also the external world. You feel me? So this I thought this might be confusing some people, but yeah, let me do one last one. This last one I promise. You feel me? Um, Pisces. Pisces to be ruled by Jupiter. It's a water sign and it's feminine. You feel me? So it is Jupiter is in the middle. It's what connects the two. You feel me? So it has that Jupiter energy of connecting the two. And then it has water. So water is like receptive. You feel me? But it has a little bit of active energy inside there. Because if it was earth, that'd be pure yin. But water has a little bit of active energy inside there. You feel me? And it's also a feminine sign. So it's receptive, right? But it still has that active nature. And this is important because you should be active with inside your unconscious mind. You feel me? Even though it's and the active nature of it is Jupiter, right? So even though people see it as ruled by Neptune nowadays, right? It does deal with your unconscious mind, spiritual nature, but it's kind of like tapping into your unconscious mind and spiritual nature in order to create a bridge between the internal world and the external world. So with Pisces being like a very feminine, right? You kind of go inside yourself, right? And you tap into your spirituality and stuff like that. But with the Jupiter energy, you connect the lower half to the upper half. So by going inside your unconscious mind and tap into your spirituality, you learn how to literally merge the internal and the external. You see, that's what Pisces is more about. You know, that's what it's supposed to be about when it's properly expressed in its energy. You feel me? So yeah, but the thing is with Aquarius and with Aquarius, Neptune, my fault. With Aquarius, Pisces, and Scorpio. Nowadays, they're ruled by different planets, which is completely okay because those planets do have an effect on them. But you got to consider the old planets that ruled over them too, because both the planets kind of merge inside that sign. But when it comes to Pluto, by the way, Pluto is separate from the main seven. It's a gateway that allows you to allows you to to kind of understand the hidden aspects of yourself in reality. It kind of makes you go beyond the typical mundane sides of things, even like typical spirituality and stuff. Like you start to understand like the deeper inner workings. Like for example, some niggas may like be devoted to their spirit and really be in tune with their spirit through devotion. But someone who's doing it with Pluto just understands all the inner workings of why the devotion happens, what's really happening, and stuff like that. Pluto allows you to kind of get like a more introspective. It's like you're kind of going outside the normal bounds of your mind, and you're getting a deeper, more hidden perspective of the internal and external. You feel me? So yeah, I'm gonna end this video right here. I love you all. Catch my next video. Peace. Oh wait, like the video. Subscribe if you're new. Forgot to say that. All my links is down below. I love you. Catch you. Peace. The freak. Outs.